Good evening, this is Nick Inman from VolumeProfileTrader.com on Saturday, January 7th, and going to go through the S&P and a lot of stock names that I think are going to work well over the first quarter or so of 2011, and I hope you find some trading ideas in these. Not all are great buying opportunities, but what we're going to do is talk about, the course of action of how to get involved in this stock or a stock, and not being afraid to pull the trigger on any pullback. So, first of all, looking at this 30-day chart of the S&P with the weekly composites and the 30-day composite, and what I'm looking at is, as far as holding important levels, this 1260 level or so, which you can see the significant high volume over the last 30 days. 30 days, significant high volume from 1260 down to around 1242 with an emphasis of the upper end of the range. Well, we held that all last week, which is positive, and we actually finished the week on a strong note. We had a high volume area develop between 1272 and really 1275 or so. That was our key high volume area. We actually finished right in the middle, above the point of control for the week, and we made higher lows from Thursday to Friday. We also made a higher high on Friday, but we didn't close that hour outside the value area for the week, so that's not that big of a deal. So as far as what we're looking at on a daily chart, we're holding this not point of control, we're holding the bottom of this high volume area, which has lasted for over a year now. And I think if we, it correlates, that level's 1256, and it correlates with, bear with me. It correlates with the top of this high volume area. So whether it's the top of this high volume area that's holding the market, or the bigger time frame view where we got into this right here, into the bottom of this high volume area. We've held it for 4 days. So long as we hold that level, this market is poised to push towards 1300, 1325 or so. So right now what I'm going to do is just go through a bunch of names. Actually, I'll start with the Nasdaq, and you can see all the drawings that I've had on it. I'm going to delete them all so you don't have to look at them. Since the lows in December, we've been talking about Nasdaq outperformance. What have we got? We have Nasdaq outperformance. We have a huge high volume area from 2346 down to 2280. We're pushing above those levels. Looks like we're going to go test 2400 on the Nasdaq. So let's cover some names. Apple earnings, I believe, are the 18th, and we're making a pre-earnings run. We're up at resistance. Kind of hard to buy, but on any pullback down to 405. Maybe even 407, that's where you want to start getting involved and nibbling on Apple if you aren't already long. But we've been talking about being long Apple since it was down at 366, and you should still be involved at those price levels. There was really no reason to sell. Amazon, I still like Amazon, however, it's hitting its point of control for the year. We got a little bit of selling pressure into that. I actually sold some call spreads into Amazon on Friday with the expectations that it was just kind of going to wander around for a couple of days. I just wanted to scalp a trade on that, take advantage of the weekend decay. If it pops up on Monday, I'll just take a small loss and move on. But really, I got involved in Amazon on Tuesday of this week. I really thought that it bottomed on last week because it was the value area low for the year, and from 246 down to 166, I thought it was a cheap shot to get involved in a name like Amazon. Great company. EMC, I like the way that it's definitely lagging, and we can't ignore that. But I like the fact that it's making a a higher low slash base at this, at current levels. And if we start moving above 22 with some emphasis, this is probably something you want to get long with a shot up towards 24 or 25. I think this is a great name fundamentally, and it's a great time. I think it's a great opportunity to get long a name that's probably going to print higher prices than 28.73 in the future. So if you have a long-term view and you like holding things long-term, this is probably a stock that you can start building a position in. Ford, I agree, similar situation. What we're looking at, I'm going to keep the drawings just because they emphasize what we're looking at. Point of control for the year down at the bottom of the range. Great time to get long. Kind of reminds me of the dollar, where point of control is at the bottom of the range, and we just kept pushing higher. That's great news, well, for dollar holders. Likewise, Ford, looking like a similar picture, probably have a little bit of selling pressure, maybe 50, 75 cents higher from current prices, but I think you can stay involved. Kind of jumping back to the Nasdaq, Google, don't take your eye off of this. If you aren't long this stock, which it really didn't give you the best opportunity to get long unless if you got it on this pullback at the end of November. I think you look to get involved around 625. That's $25 pullback on a $650 stock. Not that big of a deal, but you want to start to look to get long at those levels. Marvell, it's breaking out from the point of control from the year. We had a little triangle pattern breakout 2 days in a row on great volume. Stay long, stay strong. Wait until you get some weakness, but I think this thing's going to 16. It's only 25 cents away from there, but this, there's no volume above the $16 level. So if we can get above there, it's going to be a heck of a move. Probably another $5 or so of upside. I wouldn't be surprised. $20 handle. Monsanto, kind of got to zoom into this one too. It popped out. You should have, looked to get long. And then earnings, great earnings announcement. Great volume, great pop. Stay long, stay strong. This thing's probably going higher. I would look to start getting involved if you're not already around the $75, $74 and slowly scaling into a position. Nvidia, keep your eye on this. Let me zoom out again to get the real effect. We have point of control at $15. After $15, although every time it's gone above there, it's been right to sell. This 200-day moving average moving down, this $15.50 becomes more and more important. I think this is a name that you can start to nibble on. It's probably going to $18 in the future, though. Walgreens. This is a name that I think you can get long right here, right now, with the stop either under today, or I should say this past week's intraday low. So right around 32 or so. That's where I would put a stop. But really similar with a lot of other names. Let me get rid of this. You have a base forming, and 34.50 is my line in the sand. If we break above that, we're going to go to the 200-day moving average-ish, around 37 or so. $4 move on a $33 stock, not too bad. WellPoint, healthcare stock. This thing looks like it's going higher. We have a move higher on higher volume. That's good news. We're kind of breaking out of this high volume area. Though we are at the top of the range, we've been consolidating in a trading range for the last couple of months, and it's eventually going to break out one way or the other. You can start scaling in now on any pullback. Look to get more involved around 67. But this thing looks like it's going to go push 77 and maybe up to 80. So that's a pretty good move for a healthcare stock. United Health, I think this is a name on any pullback that you want to look to get long. It hasn't quite made new highs, for the last year, 52-week high. But on any weakness, especially around $50, I think you have to be gobbling this one up. Amgen, I've covered this before, and I'm kicking myself for not being long this name. We were looking for a breakout probably about a month ago on Amgen. We got it. It continues higher. On any pullback, it's probably right to be long this name. Unfortunately, it's kind of extended, frustrating, missed the trade in my opinion. Pfizer looks a lot like all the other healthcare stocks that we've been covering, but any pullback down to around 20.5 or so, the point of control, which is 2040 for the year. I think that's the levels that you really want to get involved. Whether you want to maybe sell some 21 puts or something along those lines, to get involved, capture some premium. I think it's not a bad idea. Johnson & Johnson, keep an eye on this one. 63, 60, actually 64, which is less than just over 1% from current prices. You may want to get involved at those levels, and I think this is a name that goes higher, and plus you get, a lot of people like the idea of pay to wait with the dividend. In my opinion, no dividends that great to just hold like that. Rather, a covered call strategy or something similar may be more helpful. All right, going to jump into the banks. Look at the ETF really quick. XLF. We have some higher lows forming. We broke out of that little downtrend right there, breaking out from this 1340 level, this high volume area. Looking to see if we can push up towards 14, which is another 40 cents or so movement. Not bad. Morgan Stanley, this thing's on the verge of breaking out, and I think you keep an eye on if we print new highs above, say, 1640. This is probably something that you want to get long and look to see if we can push up towards the 200-day moving average, which is around 19. Bank of America, zooming in a little bit, you can see just doing some consolidation on Friday, down 2%, but it's 13 cents. It's not that big of a deal. This has been volatile in this range. So realize that we are still under the point of control for the year at 636, but we're probably going to push above that and test $7.50. So I like it. Goldman Sachs probably going to push up towards 105 in the coming weeks, months. I see this really, although it's not really a flag pattern, just because we're at the bottom of the range. But if we push above 96, 97, then 105 is probably what you want to look at. Jpmorgan, this one's performing relatively well. I'd say $37.50. That's where you want to take profits. Comerica, this is breaking out, and I don't think this 200-day moving average is really relevant. It wasn't really relevant back then, so it shouldn't be relevant now. And there is absolutely no volume. This thing's going to 34. $6 move? Not bad for a slow mover. American Express. We have a little bit of resistance at this 50 level, but I think this is a name that you want to look to get long. If we push above 50, there's really no volume to stop us from going to 54 and maybe even new highs in 2012, so it's just something to be aware of. MasterCard, don't take your name off, or I should say don't take your eyes off this. This is at a really, it's close to a buying point. I think we're about $5 off, and that's when you want to start nibbling. You can see 30.25 up to 30.40 or so. That's a high volume area. Price is going to slow down or stop there. It's also the value area high for the last year or so. Price tends to, or I should say, that's also a good support resistance level if you want to look to get long or short at names. Visa, definitely one of the the better performers of the credit cards. It's hard to say to any level to get long in stock other than $90, which is $10 pullback. I'm not sure if that's happening, but if it does, that's where you do want to get long. Jumping a little bit back to tech here. Salesforce, just keep an eye on this. I think this is a tradable low at 94 for a bounce back up to maybe 110 or so, $10 run, maybe even pushes towards 115. What I'm going to do really quick, bear with me. Look at the 30-day chart. Yeah, I kind of figured that's what we're going to have is point of control at the bottom of the range. Stop under. Really, I think you can manage this without a stop, but definitely your line in the sand has to be right below 94. But I'm really looking for this 97, 96 level to hold. If we get any pullback, we should see some type of bounce and up to hopefully 110 or so. Alright, JDS Uniphase. I think this is a buying opportunity. We have a huge point of control at the bottom of the range, and we did a great, JDS Uniphase did a great job of hammering out a base. This is something that now that you want to be long, you see pretty good volume starting to perk up over the last couple of months. I think you can buy this right here, right now, and just kind of have a loose stop and keep an eye on it. Realize that it's over $2 off the absolute lows, but so long as we kind of hold this, so long as we don't make a lower low relative to the 19th of December, which was, let's see, 922, that was the low. So about $1.80 stop loss. Just realize that is your stop loss. Target up to $13 or so, which $2 move, not bad. Let's see, United States Steel X. Don't take your eye off this. 26.50, about 70-80 cents from current prices to the downside. That's where you want to look to get long, because we have continuing high lows off the point of control. Looking for a breakout. Has 200-day moving average been relevant? No, not really. So I'd be looking for $40 on the upside. That's a $13 move on a $27 stock. That's impressive. AK Steel, this probably looks a little more constructive, but you can see similar thing. There's absolutely no volume here. There's going to be nothing to stop this from going from $9.50 up to $14. Just realize that and keep it on your radar. Steel Dynamics, this is one of the reasons why I like steel. This is already starting to perform to the upside. This probably has another $1.50 or so of price appreciation before any kind of trouble. I like AK Steel the best out of all the charts, but US Steel looks pretty nice too. So anyways, I hope these are some good stock picks. I hope they give you some ideas. You want to make sure that you diversify over, different sectors, but realize there's a lot working, and this market is probably going to continue higher, if not just because people are chasing this. Remember, we're going into earnings season, so that's going to be the catalyst, and any news out of Europe, continuing improvement, U.S. economic data. So anyways, take care.